The brand new character Durin coming to Genshin Impact for version Luna 3 has received some massive buffs. He is now much more definitively a best in slot option for a number of teams, and he is turning out to be, depending on what you have access to, one of the strongest DPS options in the entire game. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. The version Luna 2 banners featuring Nefer and Farina are finally here. If you're planning on spending for these or any future banners, let me recommend Lootbar. I have been personally using Lootbar for over a year, and I've spent thousands of dollars on my personal account. They are safe, using currency exchange to get you discounts on the crystals you were going to buy anyways. They have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. They're very easy to use. Just choose the pack you want, enter your UID and region, and your top up is delivered in minutes. New users also get a 10% coupon. New users clicking my link also get access to a $2 welcome. Returning users get a 5% and 3% discounts. And if you plan on buying currency for Miliastra Wonderland or other games like Honkai Star Rail or Zenless Zone Zero, you can also do that through Lootbar. It's partnerships like these that allow me to continue bringing the content I do to the channel, as well as supporting my family. So thanks to Lootbar for sponsoring the video. So what were the buffs exactly? Well, basically, he got the small motion value changes, but his passive is the big one. It gives a bonus based on the attack that he has, and basically he just gets a lot more damage based on his attack. And honestly, I'm not going to go and explain exactly how all this works. On teams that have Noblesse, Pyro Resonance, whatever, he's going to have more attack and he's going to be dealing more damage. In some cases, a lot more damage. For example, Veresa teams, Vomfi has them. He's on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. He has calcs of 120k DPS for Veresa teams. This is up from around 109, 111. I don't know what Vomfi had calced before for Veresa, but 120k is actually cracked. This would make her only 5 to 10k behind Skirt and a solid 10k above Nefer and Flynn's. So if you're a Veresa user, I would consider Durin. I would strongly consider Durin. Jeff had Veresa calc. I saw him on his stream calc 120, and then he updated it to 125. Possibly even higher, which would be even stronger. Seems a bit insane. And then we've got Carry Durin, which Vomfi has calced at 121k. So that's Durin being pyro infused inside Bennett's circle with Mona C2. Mona C2, fairly accessible character because she's free from the selector, and then you can choose her constellation free, and then you have to lose your 50-50 once. I don't know how much lower Mona C1 is going to be. I think that would have been nice to see, but hey, Mona C2, 120k DPS Durin, absolutely spectacular. His charge attack is the main point of damage here, or like the main way you're attacking, your normal and then charge attack. Absolutely insane. I cannot believe this. So, and Jeff has it calced even more. 122, and then with Mona C4, 162, higher than Moika levels of damage. This seems impossible. There feels like there's no way that this is possibly true, and there's no way that makes it to live, but if it does, that's crazy. So Carry Durin is looking real. Veresa and Navia looks to be getting a huge upgrade. They also did make a change for Keqing. I didn't talk about this, but basically there was some finding that Durin wouldn't be able to give the res shred to Keqing due to him needing to proc burning to give his res shred, but it does not work that way anymore, so it will work fine. I have Mualani here as good, but maybe not best in slot because that Moika Sucrose Mona team is looking pretty darn strong, and Durin doesn't get a bunch of attack buffs from Mualani team. So not sure. Maybe there's a way that you can pass Durin Thrilling Tales. So yeah, actually, I wonder if this is doable. You go Mualani normal, Sucrose skill, pass Thrilling Tales to Durin, and then use Mona. Maybe you have to use Durin after Mona though. Oh, but Mona could pass Thrilling Tales, but then you have to give a ridiculous amount of ER. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. I could see it being an upgrade. I'm gonna put it at possible best in slot because I could definitely see it. And for Keqing too, it's kind of hard to say right now. Keqich's teams, he's got a bit tricky team building. It's like a whole thing because you want Yansan, you want Emily, you want Bennett, you want Durin. It's a Moika. It's a whole thing. The artifact sets. Keqing team building is something that makes me want to pull my hair out, but I think Durin's going to be a strong option for Keqing. We look at my other table here. I mean, overloaded teams, you know, he's going to carry yoimiya even more on the Chevreuse teams. That's giving him a lot of attack, so that's why Chevreuse teams are getting a buff. I guess Navia, it's just a huge upgrade for Navia regardless of this buff. This buff doesn't necessarily make that team way better. You know, the Raiden overload teams just are a huge win. I'm gonna put Childe in issues. And I'm gonna be honest, I still haven't seen a lot of calcs for Wanderer, but I imagine it's a possible best in slot. I think it's an okay option for someone like Arlecchino. I don't know why you would really put them together. I feel like other things are better. You know, it's gonna be a big upgrade for Chlorand. I feel like Chaska will be quite good. Novelette, Zhao. I think this is awesome. I wish more characters had like off-fielders had like a carry option that was like only a bit worse than using them as a support for DPS. I think that's just so fun. And with Durin, I expect it's so strong. I don't expect it to stay. Either I expect something's wrong, you know, of the way that people are calcing it, and I expect this to be, you know, 100k instead of 122. That's what I expect. So if you're a Durin wanter, believer, you know, kind of take things with a grain of salt, because it might end up being not as good as it is. It just seems a bit too good to be true right now. Same with the crazy DPS numbers that Overload's doing. But I expect Durin, at least right now, based on what we know, Durin's looking like an incredibly meta character. Not only can you pick him up and have him work with a large variety of teams that people care about, but he can also be a DPS himself. I did want to touch a little bit on Constellations. Lots of people are talking about Constellations. I do think his C1 and C2 are very good. His weapon is very bad, so if you're gonna be going for Constellations on him, his C1 and C2 are very good, but there just haven't been that many calcs. There haven't been that many there haven't been that many testing or calcs with his Constellation, so you'll just have to be a bit patient on that. But right now he's looking like a very strong character, and, you know, Columbian, of course, is coming right after, so yeah. This also does give Farina another meta team, but a large part of her value is enabling Marechaussee Hunter for Durin, because Durin doesn't actually have a proper artifact set right now that really helps him. Emblem is based on energy, and he doesn't need to build very much energy, and then Noblesse is like kind of a weak set for personal damage of him. So overall, if Durin does get his new signature artifact set the next patch or the patch after that, he might be buffed even further, which would be crazy. Although I do expect it to buff his burst damage and not really affect the carry playstyle. So let me know if you're looking forward to Durin. I'm more excited for Durin. I feel like this power level is a good one. I feel like none of these things are like blowing Moika out of the water, but I feel like it gives good incentive for, you know, a solid power spike for a bunch of characters. And let's remember, he's replacing Moika on these teams. So that's not only a DPS upgrade for these teams, it's not only easier to play as he's an off-fielder, but it also enables Moika for another team, or, you know, you don't have to pull bike. So yeah, very valuable character, very good character. I'm not going to call him a must pull, because I don't really believe in must pulls in Genshin Impact anymore. Except for maybe Moika, but even that, now she's going to be less valuable in each team. There's just so many characters, and they're doing, aside from Moika and maybe Skirk, a good job at keeping everything fairly even keel. So you kind of want to just go for what's good for your account and play to your own preferences as an account. So I don't think he's like a must pull, but hey, if you're playing these characters, and maybe some of these characters, maybe it might be worth it. And keep an eye for these ones, keep an eye out on future videos, and for these ones, know that for now it's looking really like best in slot. So let me know your thoughts, and Klee would be up here too, and similar stuff like that. So let me know your thoughts. Take care. Bye for now.